If you're married, have 2 kids, you're 35 years old, and you have about $150,000 saved for retirement, you might be asking yourself, can I retire? While you don't need to fit this exact persona, the idea is that you're into your career at least a couple years, maybe you have some dependents, and you have a little bit of money put aside for retirement. Today, we're going to try and figure out what retirement might look like for you, specifically early retirement. So let's dive into it. So before we actually go through this financial plan, please note that all of the names and numbers in this plan are made up for this specific example case study. Financial plans should be unique to you in your individual circumstances. There is no one size fits all to financial planning, so seek professional guidance. So here we have Jack and Jill. Jack and Jill are 35 years old. Jack and Jill do have 2 dependents, Max, who is 3 years old, and Mia, who is 1 year old. Jack and Jill currently make $70,000 each, and that is expected to increase by 3% per year until retirement. Jack and Jill have no other sources of income, and they expect to collect Social Security in retirement. Jack and Jill do have a retirement account. They both have simple IRAs. Their contribution is 3%, and there's a primary match of 100% up to 3% from their employer for both of them. They also have a joint taxable account with $5,000 that they contribute per year. Looking at their expenses, their pre-retirement living expenses are $6,000 per month, and we'll break that down a little bit further here in a minute. Looking at their net worth, Jack and Jill currently have a net worth of $295,000. Broken down, they have $20,000 in the bank split between a checking and a savings account. That's just cash that they want to keep on hand for whatever it may be. Jack's simple IRA is $48,000. Jill's simple IRA is $52,000. And they have that joint taxable account, which currently has $30,000 in it. They have a primary home worth $345,000. And they still have a $200,000 loan on that house, so a $200,000 mortgage. Diving into the goals, Jack and Jill have a retirement age goal of 55 years old. So in 20 years, they would like to spend $5,500 in retirement, assuming that their expenses drop, providing that lifestyle that they want to have. They plan to go on a vacation that's $3,000, and that's every 2 years. And that goes to the end of the plan. The end of the plan is assuming a 90-year time horizon here. They would like to leave their kids, Max and Mia, with some money, so we're going to have a legacy goal of $500,000. They would, if possible, like to buy a new primary home for the purchase price of $500,000. We're going to use the estimated annual retirement health cost of $6,092 for Jack and Jill separately. And if possible, Jack and Jill would like to fund Max and Mia's college education. These numbers, we are taking the average annual tuition in Idaho, which is $28,840 per year. So now if we toggle to the analysis, that is the retirement analysis, we can see here that the probability of success is pretty low. Keep in mind all of the goals that we reviewed here, especially that legacy goal of $500,000 that Jack and Jill would like to leave to Max and Mia. Additionally, that college education goal of $28,000 per year. Again, that's not a perfect science, as that is the average for Idaho, and that's not including things like if Max and Mia were to get scholarships or grants or some sort of loan to help with that college education. With this in mind, we can see immediately that we're going to have to do something to this overall plan. Well, with all of this in mind, we can see immediately that we are going to have a shortage of cash if we want to retire at the age of 55 and spend that $5,500 in retirement. As mentioned, Jack and Jill are at minimum 20 years from retirement, assuming they retire early at the age of 55. So we have time to kind of make some adjustments here and reevaluate some of the assumptions that we have. So let's do just that. For starters, let's make it easy and adjust the retirement age to 60 years old for each of them. Now, my goal here isn't to encourage Jack and Jill to necessarily work longer. That's absolutely not what I'm trying to do. So adjusting their retirement age to the age of 60, we can see here that this increases their probability of success from 17% to 44%. The current plan here is retiring at the age of 55. All variables are the same outside of that retirement age. So increasing that 5 years for both Jack and Jill increases our probability of success to 44%. Well, as we can see here, we're still going to have to make some adjustments. So let's keep adjusting this. Jack and Jill, as seen here, have quite a bit of discretionary income on a monthly basis. So let's see what would happen if they bumped up their contributions to their taxable account by $2,500 per year. So their monthly contribution would be $625. Well, bumping this up to $7,500, we can see here that their probability of success got bumped up by 4% to 48%. So if we're thinking about saving, the next organic option would be to also bump up our simple IRA contributions. This is where we're really going to see that shift. So let's assume that, yes, even though they're matched only up to 3%, Jack and Jill elect to contribute 5% of their income per year to their simple IRA. Well, as we can see here, that bumped up our probability of success to 53%, leaving us with some money at the end of this plan. As we can see here, the proposed plan, which again is assuming we retire at 60 instead of 55, we contribute 5% instead of 3% to our simple IRA, and we bump up our joint taxable contributions by $2,500 per year. We're going to have $2.3 million more than our current plan, which, like I said, runs out of money at the age of 64. Well, this is all great. So let's look at the withdrawal rate of this proposed plan. Well, as we can see here, the withdrawal rate, especially early on, is sort of high, but then it drops when Social Security kicks in. And then at the end of the plan, we sort of get that hockey stick curve, if you will. So there's still some adjustments here that we're going to want to make. So the next thing that we should look at here is Max and Mia's college education. Again, not that we don't want to support them. That isn't the idea here. We do want to support them. But this is kind of a worst case scenario here. This is assuming that they get no help whatsoever. Max and Mia, we like to think, are going to be pretty studious kids. So let's just cut this in half at $14,000. And let's see what this does to our overall plan for the funding of Max and Mia's college. Well, as we can see, that bumped up our probability of success up to 66%. So looking at the comparison, that's $3.5 million more than the current plan. And then looking at the withdrawal rate, let's just refresh this just to make sure. We can see here that now we're at sub 7.5% even at the end of the plan in terms of that withdrawal rate. The withdrawal rate early on through the age of 75 is pretty low. And then from the age of 75 onward, that's where we get that increase in the withdrawal rate. Well, as we all know, retirement spending isn't perfect. That is, retirees don't spend the exact amount of money every month throughout retirement. They aren't going to spend $5,500 fixed every year until 90 years for 30 years. Rather, retirement typically looks something like this. So thinking about that, let's change this retirement spending strategy to the retirement spending smile. Well, as we can see from a withdrawal rate perspective, it didn't do too much, but looking at the comparisons here, we can see that we have $3.6 million more than the current plan. If we toggle back to the inflation adjusted, which is just basically tacking on that inflation rate to your monthly expenses every month, we can see here that that's $3.4 million. So you added about $150,000 to this overall plan throughout retirement. So don't get fixated on you have a 73% chance of being successful with this plan. Rather, think about the probability of success like this. 73% of the time, things are going to work themselves out. And about 27% of the time, there's going to be adjustments that need to be made for the sake of my overall retirement plan. So looking at this and diving a little bit deeper, there is an important thing here to know as it relates to asset allocation. Jack and Jill are relatively young. They're 35 years old. They have quite a while until retirement, and for sure, hopefully, quite a while until they pass away, or at least until the end of this plan right here. Their asset allocation today is aggressive growth. That is, we are assuming a 9.4% annual rate of return. Well, the reality is this isn't really accounting for tons of market volatility. What if they enter retirement and they have a decade of pretty bad growth relative to what, aggressive growth historically does? Well, we want to account for that. So using this, let's drop it to a moderate asset allocation. A moderate asset allocation is assuming a 7.7% annual rate of return. Well, if we look at moderate asset allocation, we can see here that the probability of success drops back down to 58%. So Max and Mia, like I said, we do want to help them in college, but they aren't going to solely rely on us to fund their entire college. So lowering the amount of money that Jack and Jill will contribute to Max and Mia's college to $10,000, we can see here that this brought our probability of success up to 63%. Again, if we go to the comparisons and look at the invested assets, we can see here that at the end of this plan, we have $1 million, give or take. If we go to the retirement details and look at the withdrawal strategy, we are still at a sub 7% through most of retirement, which, yes, from a withdrawal rate perspective is high. Again, we are assuming that moderate allocation, which is 7.7%. If we wanted to be even a little bit more conservative, we could go to balanced, and we could see here how this affects the overall withdrawal rate. And it doesn't do too much here. So going back to moderate, we can see here that, yes, the withdrawal rate is slightly high, but at the end of the plan, we're projected to have about $1,057,000. If we're still unsure because we're fixated on the withdrawal rate of this plan, great. Like I said, Jack and Jill, 60 is still a pretty early retirement age. So let's bump that up to 62 years old, assuming that they are willing to work 2 more years. Well, as we can see here, the probability of success is increased, but also the ending assets of this overall plan are increased to $1.58 million by the end of this plan, giving them a 76% probability of success, and also lowering that overall withdrawal rate while still accounting for that $500,000. So what can you take away from this video? The idea here is that, like life, financial planning should be fluid. Things are ever changing. The important part is that you create a financial plan that aligns with you and your unique goals. As you can see here, Jack and Jill aren't going to have everything figured out. They're only 35 years old. That said, this is a great starting point to give them an idea of how they can retire early at the age of 55, 60, or 62. Guys, my name is Zach Carruthers. I'm a financial advisor, and my goal on this channel is to empower individuals like yourself to embrace financial confidence and unlock the path to a life truly well lived. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. My contact information is on the next screen. Thank you so much. Until next time.